Welcome those in the chamber this morning, along with those that may be listening online. This is Tuesday, the 21st day of November 2023. This is the weekly meeting of the Weber County Board of Commissioners. I'm Commissioner Gage Frohr. I'll be conducting this morning. With me is, to my right is Commissioner Jim Harvey. To my left, Commissioner Sharon Bolos. We're going to start the meeting this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance given by our own Stacy Skeen. Commissioner Bolos will then give the invocation. I will give the thought of the day, and then we'll have public comments. Stacy.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time as we begin our Weber County Commission meeting. We wish to express gratitude to thee for the many bounteous blessings that we enjoy in our lives. We're grateful for the country in which we live and the freedoms that we have here. We're grateful for those who fight to defend our freedoms and others. We ask thy blessings to be upon them. We're grateful for those who serve as first responders here in our county. We ask thee to watch over and to protect them and to bless their families. We're grateful for their service. We're thankful for our employees and for all that they do to serve the residents of our community, and we ask thee to bless them with their needs. And we ask thee to guide us this day in the decisions that we make, that we may do so in the best interest of those we serve. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here and to assemble as we do. We ask for thy Spirit to attend each of us in our lives, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Well, Commissioners, as you probably know, this is a very important time of year, great time of year. We have Thanksgiving coming up here in a couple of days. And actually, it's one of my favorite times of year. I think it's important to us. Gives us the opportunity to get with our friends and family and enjoy a lot of things, including great meals. So I wanted to, question came up, and you probably know the answer to this, but did the Pilgrims in 1621 back on Plymouth Rock actually eat turkey?
I would say the answer would be no. They didn't have turkey that day.
Well, let's be cautious about that. So I would say nobody knows for sure. We know probably it wasn't the same type of turkey that we enjoy. It may have been wild turkey, but from one that has actually eaten wild turkey before, in a legal sense, I probably don't recommend that. So we're very blessed to have the turkeys that we pick up at the grocery store on Thanksgiving. But there was a gentleman by the name of Edward Winslow that was actually one of the colonists back in 1621. And it's interesting to see the menu that they put together because of I think the 90-some Indians that were there at that point in time. They went out and had, I think, brought back venison that said lasted for up to a week, week and a half. We know for a fact that they sent out a hunting party for wild fowl. So they had geese and ducks. They had corn nuts and a lot of shellfish and clams. So a pretty good meal. What they didn't have that we enjoy today would be potatoes. One thing I enjoy, potatoes, mashed potatoes. They didn't have stuffing, they didn't have sugar, which means they didn't have pie. Now, how can you have a Thanksgiving without pie? So anyway, just a little bit of history. We want to give time to remember, time to meet with our family and friends and enjoy the holidays, Commissioner. And remember what they had back in 1621, which probably doesn't relate to what we have, but we can be thankful nevertheless. As I look at it, they might have had a little healthier meal than we have, but that goes without saying. Anyway, that's my thoughts, Commissioner. With that, let's go to our next agenda item, which is public comments. Anyone in the audience that would like to come forward now and make comments, now's your opportunity. We'd ask you keep it to 3 minutes or less. Seeing no one, anyone online? Okay. They're probably home getting ready for Thanksgiving. Getting that turkey ready and pies. All right, with that, Commissioners, let's go to consent items. Consent items F1 through 9. Number 1, request for approval of warrants 9446 through 9497 and 480, 495 through 480, 682. And number 311 in the amount of $1,344,874.02. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $294,486.13. And for a summary of warrants and purchase orders, Mr. Ricky Hatch isn't here, but we do have Lynn. So, Lynn, go ahead.
Thank you. We had 9 purchase orders totaling $294,000. The largest of these, 51% or $150,000, went to the Golden Spike Event Center for a water truck, and 34% or $100,000 to the sheriff for vehicles, and 11% or $31,000 to the library for security control panels and building maintenance. We had 241 warrants totaling $1.3 million. Largest of these, 41% or $547,000, went to road construction, primarily 33rd South and West Haven, and then 9% or $119,000 to the health department was passed through for grant payments, and 8% or $104,000 to the library for books and materials, utilities, and building maintenance.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioners? Okay, thank you. Does that conclude your presentation? All right, let's go on then with the consent items. Let's go to F4, request for approval of minutes for the meetings held on November 7th and 14th, 2023. 5, request for approval of ACH payment to Zions Bank in the amount of $201,725.48. 6, request for approval of business licenses. 7, request for approval of beer licenses. 8, request for approval of agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals for services for the Ogden Musical Theater production of A Christmas Carol. That would be Josie Morris, youth actor, Ellis Cash, youth actor, and Kelly Morris, music director. Number 9, request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Visit Ogden to provide grant funding from Weber County Tourism Works for the Triple Crown Best of the Baseball finale. Best of the West baseball finale. All right, that's the consent items. Commissioners, comments, questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve items F1 through and including 9.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's go to our action items. Commissioners, G1, request for approval of a recommendation to forward the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council's strategic plan to the state. Dr. Daniel Lancaster will be presenting. Daniel, come on up.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Welcome.
Thank you for the time. And of note, I share your love for Thanksgiving, although I don't know that I would love it so much without pie.
Yeah,
That seems.
exactly.
I didn't realize that hardship was in place, among many others. Well, so to be brief, so the strategic plan here for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is a requirement to be submitted to the state per a statute that was passed about a year ago that required all counties in Utah to create a CJCC. The point of that CJCC is for local leaders to begin to sort of study and decide how to address criminal justice policy in their own counties, right? Giving power back to local government. How do we want to focus our resources? What do we need to build a safer community? The CJCC strategic plan is required to be submitted every year in order to receive or be eligible for grant funding from the state or from CCJJ, the Criminal and Council, another acronym out there, right, for the state. The report needs to do 3 things, which we have done here. Number 1, we needed to identify and map out all resources in the county at the disposal of the criminal justice system. This ranges from enforcement, specific police departments, the sheriff's office, et cetera, the courts, to also treatment providers that we can lean on to help in rehabilitative efforts and treatment efforts. It also includes some diversion resources. So here in this strategic plan, we have mapped those out. We have gone a step further and utilized a nationally recognized model called the sequential intercept model to map out which resources can be helpful in moving individuals either with substance use disorder or psychiatric conditions out of the criminal justice system and into treatment where they will be at reduced risk for committing future crime. In addition to mapping out those resources, the plan also identifies some recidivism goals and what it is that we want to do. In specific, I want to highlight the mission statement that the CJCC adopted officially, which is that the Weber Morgan CJCC seeks to enhance public health and community safety through collaboration and data-driven action. The members who sit on the CJCC are outlined by that state statute, and I will note that there has been a high level of collaboration and engagement, especially over the last several months, from everybody listed: the county attorney's office, defense attorneys, district judges, municipal judges, the sheriff's offices of both Weber and Morgan counties, local police chiefs. We've got a lived experience individual who also represents the Weber County Reentry Coalition. The point is, we all get to sit at the table, talk about how to strategize making our community safer beyond enforcement, but to things like reentry, treatment, reducing recidivism. The last thing that this report does is it outlines our plan for being data-driven in our approach. Utilizing existing community resources and agencies, the CJCC will begin to make monthly requests of specific data from police departments, from the sheriff's office, from the defender group, from the county attorney, right, the prosecutor's office, and all of this so that we can understand how to best utilize our resources, right? We want to eliminate waste. That is the quick and dirty about this report and what it's for. We have met all of the objectives given by the statute: mapping services, identifying recidivism goals, and data collection. So with your blessing, we will forward this not just onto the state, but onto every relevant individual and agency in the county so that we can be unified as we move forward in addressing crime. And with that, I welcome your questions, thoughts.
Great,
I'm here
thank
to
you.
grow.
Great presentation. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Bolos, questions?
No, just a comment. I want to thank Daniel for all the work he's done. This is a state statute that I think a lot of counties are still trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as a group, kind of think that we're leading the way in adopting this, and it's very thorough. And like Daniel said, all the participants on that council work well together. They all participate. They all give input. Everyone contributed their thoughts and ideas for this plan, and Daniel did the hard work of putting it together, and now he's moving on to the next assignment. So he's really leading the way, and I want to thank you, Daniel, for your work on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. And if I may, so Commissioner Bolos chairs the CJCC for Weber Morgan. I think a lot of the collaboration that I see there, if I may, I think happens at your being very welcoming and ensuring input from everybody. I appreciate your leadership there.
Thank you.
That's great to know. Commissioner Harvey, any questions,
No,
comments?
support, thank you.
Thank you. So question for you and Danielle is, and it was interesting to see this program roll out in the state, and I know there's a lot of questions on what the outcomes we could expect. In your opinion, are we seeing outcomes that we can quantify and, they're data-driven? Or do you think we're there yet, or do you see that on the horizon?
In my opinion, we're at the beginning of being able to firmly measure where we're at and compare that to where we've been. I expect fully to begin seeing more and more positive outcomes in terms of reduced recidivism, reduced filings by the same defendants, especially related to drug and behavioral health related crimes. That's really the best intervention point. And our plan here really focuses on those individuals, right? For people who want a crime, for lack of a better word, just out of a commitment for chaos, like enforcement and incarceration is maybe the best answer. For everybody else who engages in criminal activity because of chaotic family dynamics, because of addiction, because of psychotic disorders, if we treat those things, I think the Weber Morgan CJCC's data collection processes that we're putting in place will help us begin to see concretely those outcomes. And I especially want to note and appreciate the input from the Weber County Attorney's Office. I've been working with Jamie Pitt, the lead victims advocate, at identifying ways that their data can be useful in measuring where we're at and begin to see those outcomes. Commissioner Frower.
Great, thank you. Appreciate your work on this. This fits in very well with what we're doing with the public defenders, which you're actually a very big part of, so appreciate your efforts. Commissioner Bolos, I'd go to you for a motion or additional comments.
I'll make a motion for the Weber Morgan CJCC to forward the strategic plan to the state.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Give our best. I understand Jim's not feeling the best today.
Yeah, it's caught up with him, but he'll get some rest and be good.
Thank you. Thank you again. All right, moving forward, let's go to request for approval and agreement by and between Weber County and the American Chariot Racing Association, ACR, for rental of facilities to host the ACR regular season race. Mr. Duncan Olson, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This contract is pretty close to what we did last year with them. We give them a little bit of a sponsorship in use of the track. However, it also includes prime rate prices that are on our fee ordinance yet. And so that would be a price increase. And so it's a little bit of a trade-off, but we are forcing them to pay for stalls this year, which we had done stall deals with them the last couple of years. So we're set to do a little bit better from our side on this contract, but there is still a little bit of a sponsorship.
Great.
You're moving, sorry, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
You're moving towards just a regular contract with these folks then?
We're super close, yeah.
Yeah.
From where we started when, 7 years ago with this group to where we are now, it's a big difference.
How many teams do you anticipate this year?
Between 15 and 20.
Okay, thank you.
And that's, it depends, they split organizations a few years back, and there's still the group from Wyoming and Salt Lake that haven't fully conjoined with our group still. And so if they're able to work something together, there would be more.
Okay, but they would have a separate contract then?
Well, for Worlds specifically, this is regular season.
Just okay. Very good. I appreciate you moving in that direction. I think this is one where they've come from
Yeah.
60 down to 15. That's a lot of.
Crazy.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have any more questions, Mr. Chair. Would be ready to make a motion when you're ready.
I'm ready for the motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this contract as presented by Mr. Olson this morning.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thanks, Duncan. Let's still stay with you, which is a request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Victory Athletic Spirit for rental facilities to host the Ogden Snow Bowl cheer competition. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a little bit outside of our fee ordinance as well. They needed power drops, and the power drops, we've upped the price on them because it just costs us so much more with power and everything. So we're actually charging more than our fee ordinance, as well as a little bit of a food buyout. They're a unique organization to us because they bring their little goodie bags for their leading teams that have, oranges and granola bars and different things, which is against our outside food and beverage policy. And so it adds extra cleanup and a few things that we tried to make sure that we're not losing out on our concessions. And so there's a little bit of a food buyout and the power drop fee increase.
Great. Commissioner Harvey, I'll go back to you.
That's all appropriate. I appreciate you looking out for that. No reservations, Mr. Chair.
Great. And yeah, Duncan, so these last two items just goes to show that you're looking very carefully at the discussions we've had over the past couple of months on pricing. And even though that doesn't make everybody happy, it's the right thing to do because the users are paying more of what I would call a fair share to have their event rather than have that passed on to the taxpayer of Weber County. So
Correct.
I think that's a great direction to head, and we appreciate, even though not everybody, again, loves that idea, I think it's the right thing to do.
For sure.
So thank you very much. Commissioner Harvey.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair. Thank you for approving this contract between Weber County and Victory Athletics as presented by Mr. Olson this morning.
We have a motion
Second?
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Duncan. On to the next one. Request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and the Bish RV of Salt Lake for rental facilities to host the Northern Utah RV Show. They've been here before, right?
Yeah, this is their second go-around. They're based out of Salt Lake, I believe, Utah County, Salt Lake, somewhere down there. And this contract, really, it's just because of the power drops. Our fee increase, we've raised the price, but it hasn't made it through the process yet. And so to make sure that we're doing it the right way, it's before you today.
Right. Any questions?
Great place to hold an RV show, and I appreciate, again, you paying attention to that. If you're ready, Mr. Chair, I'll make a
I'm ready.
motion that we accept this contract between Weber County and Bishop's RV for that rental.
Great.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thanks, Duncan.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep going. Agenda item 5 under action, request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Weber Housing Authority to provide funding to the subrecipient from funds provided to the county by the state of Utah, Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, to enable the subrecipient to carry out specific eligible activities on behalf of the county. Brandon Quinney, tell us that's all about.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you can see on the agenda, I am not Andy Beatles.
No.
That would be some big shoes to fill, but she has asked that I fill in for today to present these two contracts. This first contract today is just an amendment to an already existing agreement between Weber County and the Weber Housing Authority. The existing agreement is for ARPA funding. The county was awarded some ARPA funds from the federal government to help mitigate some costs of the COVID pandemic. A portion of those funds were awarded to the Weber Housing Authority for this project. It's on 9th and Wall. It's an affordable housing project. We are amending that agreement only to amend the scope of the project. It's not amending any amount. It's not lessening or increasing any of the awards. It's only amending where the money's going to go before it ultimately pays for the project itself. So the Housing Authority is working with a consulting firm that's helping them capture as many financial resources as possible for the success of this project. And to do so, the ARPA funds need to flow through a nonprofit entity and then move on to the project itself. So this agreement just accounts for that flow of money. We're just making sure we're crossing our T's and dotting all of our I's. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
Questions, Commissioners?
No questions.
Questions? So let's just be clear on the ARPA funding. As you mentioned, a lot of financial resources, in addition to the ARPA funding, will be going into this, which is a very worthwhile project on 9th and Wall for affordable housing, very much needed, so.
That is correct. $1 million of ARPA funding is going towards the project. A significantly larger amount, millions more, are coming from other sources to
Yeah.
help,
I think
make this whole project
I
successful.
just wanted to make that clear, that this is just what I would call seed money to make sure that the project got off the ground, and then other players came into it and make sure that we supported the affordable housing crisis that we're seeing in this county and state today.
You're correct.
With that, Commissioners, I entertain a motion or comments.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Brandon, let's go on to the next agreement by and between Weber County and Weber Housing Authority that amends the subrecipient agreement for the Rescue Plans Act funds between Weber County and the Weber Housing Authority.
Commissioner, it looks like I swapped the two items. What I just spoke about was actually item number 6. So
Great, the old switch 'em around ploy.
Yeah, not
We've
trying to
had
pull
that
anything
before.
fancy.
You pulled that over on us pretty quickly.
I did, didn't I?
All right, so-
what I just previously addressed was actually item number 6. That is the amendment to a currently existing agreement.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
Item number 5 is a new agreement, but it is not for new funding. We actually have, the county has applied for additional funding for this 9th and Wall project from the state of Utah and was awarded $1.9 million. So this is just
Okay.
an additional source of money. It comes from the state of Utah, and it is essentially being passed through Weber County to go to the Weber Housing Authority. So this agreement is only to facilitate that passing on of state funds to the Housing Authority. Once we've, if the commissioners approve the agreement and we've passed the money on, then the Housing Authority will take it from there and continue to fund their project.
Okay, so we probably need to amend that last motion, or we could include that in this motion, whatever your preference is, Commissioners.
I don't know, I described it as presented, so does that matter, Craig?
It was presented as
item
item number
6.
6, and I can capture it there, and we can just proceed.
Okay, so you think we're all right with that then?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion then on that, for that agenda item.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement between Weber County Housing Authority for recipient from funds provided by the county by the State of Utah Governor's Office Planning and Budget to enable subrecipient to carry out specific eligible activities on behalf of the county.
Okay, I think we're clear on the agenda now. And we
Second.
have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Appreciate it. Let's go now to our next agenda, item 7, request for approval of an agreement by and between Weber County and Julia Babila Stevens to represent the indigent defense persons in the 2nd District Court. Mary Ann Ellis, it looks like Daniel's going to take this.
Yeah, if that's all right with you, Commissioner.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't see Mary Ann here, so you're up.
Great. Yeah, Jim being under the weather and Marianne is caught in court, as happens. I have some information here from Jim directly regarding items 7, 8, and 9. Specifically, the contract with Morgan County for indigent defense. We had an interlocal agreement with Morgan County to provide indigent defense services for district, justice, and juvenile court. At that time, Cale Anderson was holding the contract until September 1st. And then Jim gave Morgan County a notice to terminate because caseloads had tripled since the original date of the agreement. Jim personally covered that contract in the interim while at the same time renegotiating the interlocal agreement and contract. Scott Park was consulted and he agreed with the new amount, which doubled the monthly contract payments, and that was sufficient to cover attorney time and travel as well as overhead administrative costs. The new interlocal agreement is effective October 1st. We're awaiting a signed copy from the Morgan County Commission. However, the Morgan County attorney has directed us to submit invoices at the new amount pending the signed agreement. Related to this, an attorney, Julia Babila Stevens, has accepted the district court and justice court portions of that contract. Jim notes that she hit the ground running and is an enormous asset to Weber Public Defender Group. The juvenile court contract was so small that we absorbed it in-house with our juvenile team.
So is there any difference between those contracts and the ones for Ryan Blake and Francisco Roman? Are they all basically the same?
Yeah, they're essentially the same. The difference is that with Francisco and Ryan Blake, those are one district court contract that has been split between 2 contract attorneys. So the terms and the payouts, I believe, are the same as if it were one. So fiscally, the impact is the same to us. It was just noted that Kevin Richards gave up his contract effective October 15th due to health reasons.
Right.
And to cover that one contract, we've brought on or proposing to bring on both Francisco and Ryan. And as a bonus, added value to the county, Francisco Roman has extensive experience in immigration law, and he's happy to offer that expertise and support. We're happy to have him as a contract attorney.
Okay, great. All right, questions, commissioners? If not, what I'm thinking is we could have one motion, since we have information on the contract, if we name each of those people on those contracts, we don't have to go through them individually if they're basically the same. If that makes sense.
Yep. You ready for that motion?
I'm ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreements by and between Weber County and Julia Babila Stevens, Ryan Blake, and Francisco Roman, as
Great.
presented.
Second for all 3.
Okay. I'm going to place the motion. All those in favor then, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
We're done. All right, let's go to our public hearing. For that, request for a motion to adjourn, commissioners, and reconvene as a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 We're now in a public hearing to consider and take action on a request to vacate the West Public Utility easement within Lot 15 of the Cameron Village Cluster subdivision. Mr. Steve Burton, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. So we've,
Good morning.
morning. Planning Office has received a request from an owner of property out in western Weber. It's an owner of Lot 15 of Cameron Village Cluster Subdivision. And I know we bring these to you fairly frequently, although it may have been a little while since you've seen one. It's a request to vacate a 10-foot public utility easement at the back of this lot along the west property line. As it came in, we do have a little bit of a review process. Our engineering department verified that there aren't any utilities at that location. We also have received some letters from the utility providers in the area that are comfortable with vacating that, and we've also, in addition to receiving those letters, have just sent out a courtesy notice to any, a required notice by state code to those affected entities or utility providers, and have not received any comments back saying that it shouldn't be vacated. So we put this on your agenda. We prepared an ordinance because state code talks about how these types of easements are to be vacated by an ordinance and to be considered in a public hearing. State code says that if you find that good cause exists for the vacation and that the public interest or any person will not be materially injured or by the proposed vacation, that you can go ahead and approve an ordinance vacating that. As staff, we feel that good cause does exist. The owner will be able to use that property, use more of that property for their buildings that they want to put up. And then because we haven't heard anything back from public utilities, we feel that the public interest will not be harmed by vacating that. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great. Questions for Mr. Burton? So your staff recommendation is to approve?
Yes, sir.
Just we're clear. Okay, you've heard it. Let's go. Anything else, Steve?
That'll be it. Thank
All
you.
right, let's go to public comments. Anyone in the audience that'd like to come forward now and talk about this specific request? Now is your opportunity. Seeing no one. Anyone online, Stacy? All right. With that, commissioners, I don't see anybody rushing the mic. I'd request a motion to adjourn our public hearing and go back into a public meeting.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now back in a public meeting and ready to take action for request for approval of ordinance 2023-32 to vacate the west public utility easement within Lot 15 of the Cameron Village Cluster Subdivision as just presented by Mr. Steve Burton.
Motion to approve ordinance 2023-32.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
No.
Oh, sorry. Roll call. I'm trying to rush things a little bit.
Okay.
Busy day.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-32. Commissioner Bolos.
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey.
Aye.
Sheriff Rohr.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, now to our fun part of the agenda, commissioner comments.
You know, I have one.
Now's your
I have
opportunity.
one comment.
Go ahead.
I wanted to compliment the example of our fellow Commissioner Sharon Bolos for participating in the half marathon
Oh, yeah.
up at out of state this last year. What a great achievement, and I hope it was a wonderful experience. But that's a great example to many.
It is, yeah. Quite a runner. It was Big Bear, right?
Big Bear.
Wow, something I've always wanted to do.
Well, when that big bear's chasing you down the hill, it's probably go a little quicker.
That's an example. You want to be faster than the person behind you, right?
That's right.
All right, Commissioner Bolos, any comments?
No, just thank you, Commissioner
I would
Harvey.
second that. Yeah, it's,
Fun part was actually running with my daughter and being there to support her, which is why I was there, so.
that's great when you can run with friends and family. Makes the pain a little less troublesome.
At least
Okay,
you're all in pain, right?
we're at Tall and Pain, yeah. All right, anything else?
No, motion to adjourn?
Going once, going
Second.
twice. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now adjourned. See you next week. Thank you for being with us, taking time out of your busy days. Everybody in the chamber, have a great Thanksgiving.